Welcome to NYIT Roundtable. I'm Carol Pack. The 7.0 earthquake that devastated Port-au-Prince, Haiti in January left as many as 200,000 people dead and another 250,000 people injured and in desperate need of medical attention. To care for that large a number of people in an area that's been reduced to rubble requires a plan. Today, our guest on NYIT Roundtable is Dr. Edward Cho, the Assistant Director of the New York Institute of Technology's Center for Global Health. Welcome to NYIT Roundtable.
Thank you for having me.
You recently went to Haiti on a medical mission. Before you went down there, before you stepped foot on the plane, tell me about hearing about for the first time that you were going there and about the group that you went down with.
Sure. The group that we went down with was the Global Action Foundation. They were coordinating a nonprofit organization, an NGO, that was arranging logistics and medical teams from through their contacts in the UN, Haitian, and Dominican Republic embassies. So finding out about this, we had roughly 15 hours to get prepared to get down there once they selected the team to go down there with their proper supplies and health professionals and logistics people.
Have you ever done anything like this before?
In the Center for Global Health, most of the stuff that we do is more long-term development planning, but what we do at the center is develop clinics, startup clinics, research programs, and set up other programs in developing countries. So one of the things, although we don't specifically work in disaster response, my primary expertise is in logistics. So those are the skills that I utilized when we went down to Haiti.
Okay, the port in Haiti was damaged. A lot of problems trying to get planes into and out of the country. What was your trip like down to Haiti?
Down to Haiti was, we first flew into Santiago, and then we had a transport plane that brought us into Port-au-Prince. However, once that was a semi-smooth transition, but once we got to Port-au-Prince, all comm systems, communication systems were down, and so we couldn't actually get in contact with our hospital until about 2 days later. So it was extremely difficult actually trying to arrange transport and logistics to get to the hospital and to get to do the job that we were expected to do.
Once you did arrive in Port-au-Prince, describe what it looked like. What did you see when you got there?
Well, when we first arrived, we arrived in a smaller airplane, so we arrived in the smaller part of the off the main airport. And when we arrived, there was no one to greet us. There was no security. There was no passport control at the airport. It was just an empty building. So it was a kind of eerie, desolate building that we just walked into with all of our supplies and our group. And then after that, we walked onto the street and towards the main airport. But the road, on the airport road, was where UN and US military trucks were, so tremendous amount of military activity going on in that area.
Was the condition of the area what you expected or worse than you expected?
Most of the stuff that we saw was worse than I expected. I think last estimate, 75% of Port-au-Prince was destroyed, or the buildings were considered structurally unsound. And you definitely felt that, that impact when you drive through the streets. So the impact was much worse than I thought.
What about the people? What was the demeanor of the people? How were they acting when you saw the people?
You know, I know a lot of media reports were reporting that people were rioting and there was a lot of security concerns. And that mostly was in the areas where there was a point of distribution for supplies, food, water, and so forth. But the areas that we were in were mostly in the hospital areas where crowd control was a little bit better. There wasn't as much people congregating in the areas that we were at. But so in those areas, there would probably be an issue, but not for us.
Was the hospital damaged?
The hospital, there were certain areas of certain floors and certain wings that were definitely damaged. The areas that we worked in primarily was the ER, or the urgent care area, that was being used as the OR. So that's where we did most of the amputations and wound care and and other procedures.
Now, besides helping devise a logistics plan, did you also give medical care?
Yes. And my background is emergency medicine and family medicine. So mostly doing wound suturing, wound care, assisting with amputations with the orthopedic surgeons, and deliveries of patients for vaginal deliveries. So my primary, although most of my purpose was to do logistics, I was definitely, my other responsibility was medical.
And how were the patients? Were they glad that they were getting treatment? Were they scared? What can you tell me about them?
I think most of the patients were were glad, but they were scared about what could have been or what procedures they had to go through. A lot of the procedures that we were doing were amputations of different limb parts. So it made it difficult to do some procedures and to tell them exactly what they had to go through.
We're speaking with Dr. Edward Cho, the Assistant Director of the New York Institute of Technology's Center for Global Health. We'll talk more about his mission to Haiti right after this.